Hi, girls. I am truly happy you've decided to return to this sanctuary of ours today, because we are about to pull back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood and powerful dynamics in the history of high-level influence. I put an immense amount of work and research into these scripts, spending hours dissecting the darker corners of human dependency and the intricate ways the brain responds to comfort, safety, and ego elevation to ensure you have the tools to be the architect of your own destiny. So please, if you find these deep psychological insights valuable, take a moment right now to leave a like on this video. It is the most effective way to help the YouTube algorithm recognize the weight of our community and share these sophisticated strategies with more women who are ready to master their reality. I also want to hear from you directly. If there are specific psychological concepts, hidden behaviors, or influence techniques you want me to explore in future episodes, please write them in the comments below. I read every single one of your suggestions, and I want to make sure this channel continues to be the definitive guide for your specific journey into power. Today, we are exploring a technique that turns devotion into a lifestyle, the gilded cage effect. In the common world of relationships, people talk about freedom and independence as the ultimate goals. But the master of influence knows that true power lies in becoming the source of a man's total emotional and psychological equilibrium. The gilded cage effect is not about physical confinement or visible chains. It is the strategic creation of a reality so perfectly tailored to a man's needs, desires, and ego that the very idea of leaving it feels like a descent into a cold and harsh wilderness. It is based on the biological truth that the human nervous system is always seeking the path of least resistance and the highest level of comfort. When you become the provider of that comfort, you aren't just a partner. You become the oxygen of his existence. You are building a prison where the bars are made of velvet and the floor is paved with gold. And the secret is that he will never want to find the key because he is terrified of what life would look like without the walls you have built around him. To begin constructing this gilded reality, you must understand the architecture of the indulgence loop. Most women make the mistake of trying to change a man or fix his flaws, which creates friction and resistance. The architect of the gilded cage does the opposite. She indulges him. She identifies the parts of his personality that the world finds difficult or demanding, and she becomes the only person who validates them. If he is arrogant, she becomes the one who truly appreciates his vision. If he is lazy, she becomes the one who provides the perfect sanctuary for his recovery. By accepting and elevating the parts of him that others reject, you create a psychological dependency. He begins to feel that only in your presence is he truly understood. The outside world starts to feel like a place of judgment and struggle, while your world, the cage, is the only place where he is king. You are effectively making the exit look terrifying by making the interior feel like a dream he never wants to wake up from. Moving deeper into this effect, we must look at the exclusivity of peace. Men are biologically driven to compete and provide in a world that is often chaotic and ungrateful. If you can turn your presence into a vacuum of peace, where his every physical and emotional need is anticipated before he even has to speak, you are creating a high-value trap. This is where you use your observation skills to master the micro-comforts. It's the way you handle the details of his life that he finds exhausting. When you take over the mental load of his comfort, you are subtly removing his ability to function without you. You are making him spoiled by your excellence. Over time, he loses the muscle memory of how to find peace on his own. He becomes like a creature that has lived in a climate-controlled environment for too long. He can no longer survive the fluctuations of the natural world. This is the essence of the gilded cage. He stays not because you forced him, but because he has become too soft to leave the luxury of your influence. Furthermore, the gilded cage requires the isolation of the ego. This is not about cutting him off from his friends or family in a loud or aggressive way. That only creates resentment. Instead, you create a hierarchy of validation where your opinion is the only one that truly satisfies his hunger for significance. You do this by providing a level of intellectual intimacy that no one else can match. You learn the language of his ambitions and the shadows of his fears. When he experiences a win, you are the one who explains why it makes him a genius. When he experiences a loss, you are the one who explains why it was the world's fault. Slowly, the voices of his friends, his colleagues, and even his family start to sound thin and shallow compared to the depth of the validation you provide. He begins to filter his entire reality through your eyes. He doesn't look for a way out because his ego is so well fed within the cage that the outside world feels like a place of starvation. The genius of this technique lies in the illusion of choice. He must always believe that he is the one in control, that he is the one choosing to be with you every single day. You maintain this illusion by never demanding his presence, but making his absence feel like a heavy burden on him. When he goes out into the world, you are supportive and kind, but you ensure that the contrast is felt. You make sure that when he returns, the gilded nature of the cage is on full display. The warmth, the scent, the ego elevation, the total lack of friction. He will start to shorten his trips. He will start to decline invitations. He will start to curate his own life to spend more time within the walls you've built, never realizing that he is voluntarily locking the door behind him. He loves the prison because the prison is the only place where he feels like the man he always wanted to be. You haven't just captured him. You have become the mirror that reflects his greatest version of himself, and no one ever wants to break a mirror like that. Consider the reality of sovereign nurturing. This is the stage where you become the silent manager of his success. You organize the chaos of his life so seamlessly that he begins to credit his own growth to your influence without you ever having to take the credit. By becoming the hidden engine of his prosperity, you make your presence a financial and social necessity as much as an emotional one. If he were to leave, his life wouldn't just be lonelier. It would be less successful, less organized, and less respected. This is the gilded part of the cage. It is a structure of immense value. You are building a life for him that is so beautiful, so high-functioning, and so rewarding that leaving would be an act of self-destruction. He stays because his survival instinct is now tied to your presence. He has become an inhabitant of a paradise of your making, and paradise is the hardest place to walk away from. I want you to use this knowledge with the wisdom and the foresight of a queen who is building a lasting empire. This isn't about cruelty. It is about the mastery of the human need for belonging and significance. You are creating a space where a man can finally rest his ego and find his greatest rewards, and in return, you gain total, unwavering loyalty. Use this power to create the life you want, where you are the silent architect and the ultimate authority. Thank you for being part of this journey into the depths of influence with me. It is truly an honor to guide you through these hidden paths of the human psyche. If you want to continue learning how to weave these invisible threads of power and become the most unforgettable version of yourself, make sure to follow me and stay tuned for our upcoming lessons. I have so much more to share with you, so many more secrets to unlock. Stay powerful, stay mysterious, and always remember that the most secure cage is the one that is never seen.